because during that time, medical staff have to meet with you, they have to assess you, the whole works. But they have to wait till you dry, as we call it, dry out.
Okay.
After that, if you truly have some form of mental illness, if you don't get through that 10-13, you have to do a 10-14. It has to be completed within 48 hours of arrival of that patient.
Oh, wow.
And what that does is that tells the doctor, when you see a 10-14, whatever happened, they ain't got over it. We need to transfer them out of our care, and they need to be reassessed by the admitting facility. And from there, they can go come to where I am, or another facility after 10-14. So it's two parts. I have witnessed, y'all remember K2, the synthetic form of marijuana? This young lady now lives in a nursing home.
Oh.
She smoked it, had psychosis. Some point, once she finally went to sleep, she had a grand mal seizure. Mind gone. She will never be the same. Man. She lives in a nursing home now. When we sit here, it's good to go out, it's good to have a good time. But when you're using the pills and the potions, and even if you're going to do this, and if you've done it a million times, you have to understand that one time I do this may be my very last time doing it. That has to be recognized, and that has to be understood. So this is a very broad subject content. This is just the slicing of the meat. It has not even been cooked. And the thing about it is that you have to get it from every perspective. You have to get it from the person who has done this and get the why, because one thing that we miss in medicine is why they did it. The stigma is, the general stigma, and this is why some of the questions have changed so much. People think that people take drugs because, oh, he has issues at home. Oh, she lost her job. Oh, she's in an abusive relationship. Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. But what you find out more so often now than not, these people general happy lives. They go to school, they go to work, whatever. Why they do this? Different answer. And what happens is, in the medical community, when you don't meet what is in here and what's down on this paper, it creates a ball of confusion, because it's like, okay, how do we treat this? Because you have a lot that don't consider it to be an addiction, because they've been doing this for so long. They don't consider it to be an addiction. So that's another thing that has to be looked at.
Well, Jennifer, I appreciate you. I know you got to slide off, but you are giving us a good transition. We're going to wrap this conversation a little bit on addiction with Dr. Allison, but Jen will be on the segment 2.
All right, hon. I'm headed to my meeting. Dr. Allison, thank you so much. And I will see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Have a good day, Jen.
You're welcome.
Dr. Allison, Jen left us in a good place. I remember us having an off sidebar about the whole, what it means to be wired, impulse control. Jen was walking down that mental wellness roadmap that sometimes doesn't, I guess, be digested well by our medical friends, because they're looking at it from their segment. They're looking at it from their tunnel or their expertise lens. So would you care to elaborate a little bit on, the idea of, it's not just people's trauma, it's not just environmental factors. There could be some well-being pieces to why somebody chooses or ends up dealing with addiction.
So in again, one, I think we have to move from the point of it's a personal failure to it's a
Right.
medical addiction. That's a piece, like there's so much medical science that tells us literally a person who is addicted, their brain becomes rewired to constantly desire the feelings of dopamine and other feel-good hormones that happen when they get that high. So it literally rewires one's brain to always seek the reward at no matter what the cost is. And that's a dangerous place for any of us to be in, that we're willing to risk anything, our family, our friends, our livelihoods, our lives for a reward, for a feeling. And that's a dangerous place for us to be in.
And thank you for elaborating on that, because as I wrap this part of our conversation and segment, I just want to remind people, like, we have to show up with empathy gloves when it comes to talking about an opioid crisis, addiction. Why are, people in our community struggling? Nobody wakes up. I heard a preacher, a pastor, somebody like that say once one time, nobody wakes up one day and says, I'm going to take this step or this path to the left that's going to cost me my life, my family, my friends, maybe my partner, my spouse, my ambitions, my dreams, and just let it take chokehold my life. Nobody wakes up and sets that course for their lives. And so we've got to remember to have empathy. Next segment, we're going to talk more about the myths of addiction. We're going to talk about the language and, the imagery in music, film, and society about addicts, because all those pieces matter. Because how can somebody come to you and say, hey, I need help? Or if they're in crisis, will they even take that step based on the things that we do on an everyday basis? And then we are hoping to have a couple more people add to our panel. So stay tuned. Again, thank you, Jen, who's already left. And thank you, Dr. Allison.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you. And I'm Coretta signing off.